Okay, so we find ourselves in a place, a point in time where there are a lot of things happening out there in the world that cause us good reason to be concerned, and a lot of unknowns, a lot of uncertainties, a lot of threats, undoubtedly real threats to our lives, to our finances, to the lives we've become accustomed to. And it's seeming like things are piling on top of each other at the moment. New things happening all the time that we're hearing about in the media. As soon as something seems to calm down, then another frightening threat comes in again to add to the mix. This constant flood of worry and fear. Is there a way out of this? We evolved thousands of years ago to deal with imminent, real physical threats, such as wild beasts attacking us, and you need these things, they call it fight or flight, the hormones that come into your brain when you face a threat or a risk or a danger. So when a perceived threat comes in, a new risk or worry, it becomes the absolute focus very quickly, because in the ancient past your life would depend on it, whether you were ready to run away from that bear or whatever it was. What we do in mindfulness is learning to take a step back from the thoughts and understand that all that's happening is that panic system is getting triggered, and things such as breathing with attention on the breath will calm that physically, will slow the heart rate. It's a discipline that you can start to cultivate. So you're not just like a head on legs. You've basically got some of your consciousness in your body all the time. And so that's a very calming thing. Also, we can cultivate some distance between our thoughts, like a critical approach to what's going on in my head. Do I actually have to believe in these thoughts that crowd in so quickly, so urgently? Because we tend to draw our identity, our sense of ourself, from what's going on in our head. And that includes our opinions, our life history, our relationships, our career, all of those things, and our beliefs. Those all make up you could call our ego, our sense of self, our narrative of what's happened throughout our life and who we feel we are. And that is all really based on thoughts. It's all mental constructions, which kind of bond together in a way to create this sense of identity and to create a false sense of a stable entity, that endures through time. When we say me, the person whose name appears on the passport, well, is there actually a self that endures through time? Because if you think back to your babyhood, before you even could speak, or really could do anything or had any opinions, is that really the same you that is here now? And you move through your life and you have all these different things happen and experiences and views and roles. And if you look back through your life, you can see that it's all just a flow, an ever-changing sort of flow of identity. But we tend to, we believe that we've got this self that endures through life, but that's kind of a convenient fiction. It's just like, how would we operate in the world? How can we do that unless we kind of solidify this ever-changing pattern into the sense of Tom George or whatever your name is? So it all comes from a belief in our thoughts. My identity is not necessarily a fixed thing. I'm not held rigidly by a set of beliefs, and the things that you hold on to can restrict you as much as they can fortify you, you know. And the need to have a narrative about yourself and your past life, you know, the past of your life can result in some very painful narratives being maintained, you know, a painful personal history, and not allow reinvention to happen for you. And so deriving your identity from a set of beliefs and a set of experiences is really, it's the source of your suffering, because things will change through time, things will leave you, people will leave you, things will dissolve, jobs will end, there's always disillusion into chaos, you know, there's decay, that's an inevitable part of life. You know, a tree lasts a few hundred years, then it falls over and it rots away and it joins the soil and all of that, and a new tree comes up. So being surrendered, if you like, to the cycle of birth and decay, that's the way of peace. That's the way that you become more less fighting against the way of the world. You are not to, your identity is not to be found in this ever constantly changing river of events. You're the one that perceives all this. You're the one that observes the things that happen. And so the shift is from the one caught up in this story to the one watching the story. Is simply watching non-judgmentally, and all of the pain, the suffering, the resistance, and the struggle is the ego in conflict with the unchanging, the ever-changing reality of events. Okay, so it's about changing the emphasis, becoming the watcher, and watching non-judgmentally as things play out. And actually, the watcher is non-personal, so it's the same for you as it is for me. You're watching from a place of absolute, it's without qualities, actually. It has no name, it has no age, it has no opinions, it has no, because these are all just things we pick up on the way. So what animates you, spiritual teachers would say, is pure consciousness. It's pure consciousness that is watching through you everything play out. And it's watching from a very peaceful place. It is peace itself. It's peace, it's love, it's acceptance, it's compassion, it's non-judgmental. So if you look from that place and inhabit that spirit of, or learn to identify with that peaceful, non-personal field of presence, then everything that plays out is really kind of not that much of a problem, because you're not struggling with it anymore. You may watch yourself, you may watch your personal self, your identity self struggling, but because you don't really believe in it, you're not really fooled by it anymore. You see its games, you see its triggers and its patterns. It's like, oh, you can actually have compassion for this Tom thing as he goes through the world, you know, because you're watching from this deeper place that isn't conditioned by all the things that have happened to Tom, and is really completely forgiving, completely open, completely peaceful, isn't struggling. And so that's the way to be peaceful. I would certainly not say that I've realised this or got there. It's not a getting there kind of thing. It's not a goal-orientated journey. It's just every day remembering to observe what's going on rather than identify with this struggling one that struggles through life. We say, I am angry, I am sorry, I am frustrated, but we don't feel anymore that like we are, because the I am, the I that is watching, has no problems at all. It's just the watcher. It doesn't happen overnight, of course. The thoughts only start to reduce and dissipate when you stop resisting them. Say you may be someone that's often saying, oh, I've got this busy mind, I can't calm my mind, how do I get rid of these thoughts? That resisting, that struggling and fighting with them will only add energy to them, because it only adds energy to this ego that feels that it has to fight against life, that feels it has to struggle and believes that's the way to find peace. When I sort out things in the world, when I manage to control my destiny in this way, that's not that approach. It doesn't work in the physical world anyway, in the long term, because everything will disobey you, actually, that you try to control. In the end, everything kind of falls apart in the end, and you die and all of that. So, but we use that approach with our thoughts when we want our thoughts to calm. We fight with them. People in meditation classes, they say, oh, how do I get rid of these thoughts? And it's just not about fighting with them. It's about accepting them, being deeply accepting of them, being in fact friendly to them. And whether it's in meditation or whether it's in your daily life, feeling, got this frustrating feeling, you're not trying to push it away or get away from it. You have to say, oh, okay, this feeling here. You have to become curious about it. Okay, I acknowledge you feeling. In fact, I say yes to you. I accept you. Difficult feeling. I'm here for you. You give it some space to be itself. You give it some time. You allow it to be whatever it is. You don't try and stuff it away or kind of say, not now, or how can I put you in your place and get rid of you? It's believing that you have the right to have feelings in a way. And okay, feeling. That's okay. You just have to. And that's when they dissipate. That's when they lose their energy. They peter out. They dissolve. When you're fighting with them, that's when you start to establish this adversity between you and your feelings, like some kind of battle that you've got to win. And that just amplifies and intensifies your ego and hence your suffering. That's not the way to calm things down. So I'd say it's a combination, what we're after, a combination of deep acceptance of our thoughts and feelings and emotions, that package, but also not identifying with them. So it's not about saying, oh yes, sadness, isn't it awful what happened? Oh yeah, we're so... You're not thinking about the details, you're accepting the feeling of it, or the energy of it, if it's a thought. It's not so much the content, it's just the presence of it. The minute you start to engage in a dialogue about a feeling or a thought, that adds energy to it too. So it's a calm acceptance, a deep acceptance of whatever's going on for you. However, not identifying with that feeling, not deriving your identity from the content of your mind or a remembered event. Giving it some space to be who it is, just give it some space to be there. Accept it in a friendly, as they say, it's not about the way out of feelings. It's the way through. The way is through. You know, you have to work through things, work through the energy of it and the feeling of it. And that's the road to peace.